I wanted to share something with you today that could be seen as slightly controversial. And that is that in my experience, I see that in most organizations, leaders can be one of the biggest workplace hazards. Yes. So, particularly when working in an organization where people are mostly in an office, right? We're not dealing with manual handling issues or handling heavy machinery or really big, obvious manual handling or physical hazards in the workplace. In these instances, the reality is that the leaders of the organization can often have more impact on the humans, the employees' health and well-being than their doctor actually can. So let's just unpack it a little bit. And who am I to say anything about this? Well, I have worked for the state regulator in the community that I live in, Australia. So I've seen the statistics go from being slips, trips, and falls, back injuries, manual handling, things where there was no machine guard, to being more these days psychosocial issues and issues where people's actually their psychology has been affected more than their physical body. There's been a real difference in the sorts of claims that we see in workplaces. And so why am I saying that leaders can be toxic? Well, the reality is that our leaders control the flow of our work. They can have a direct impact and control over creating a psychologically safe workplace for their workers. And because fundamentally they hold this balance of power, right? And in an employee employer relationship, even if you're working in the government or the government sector or the private sector, it's still going to be the leader who has the balance of power and the control over whether you have a happy experience at work or not. And sure, there's personal responsibility and personal accountability that plays into this. But what we still see is that leaders hold that control, right? They're the ones employing and firing. They're the ones that can make your day-to-day work and the sorts of things that you're working on be good things that play to your strengths or things that you do not enjoy and don't perform well at. Now, we can't be Pollyanna and say that everything that we do at work is going to be fun. That's not the reality of work. But the reality is that when we hear those old sayings of people join a company, but they leave their manager, it couldn't be more true. Exactly what Gallup's research shows is that our direct supervisor, our manager, has the most impact on shaping our experience of work. So when you think about it and you hear the statistics, the fact is that only a third of people in the workplace at any one day are engaged. Two-thirds of people, at least 70%, they say, are disengaged in their workplace, are not happy, and are not enjoying their work. And given we all spend at least a third of our time at work, wouldn't you want that to be more? Wouldn't you want to go to work and actually feel fulfilled and feel like you were contributing to something and feel like you could enjoy your work? The reality is this 70% statistic suggests that most people feel unseen and undervalued. They feel not heard. But on the brighter side, the good news is that these leaders can shape our reality of work. And that is completely fixable. We can turn this around. We can stop leaders being a toxic drain on cultures and on people's employment. We can help managers to become better leaders. We can help leaders learn to lead better. We can help leaders learn to serve their people and truly turn into servant leaders so that they work for their people and with them, so that all together we can move forward towards those directions and the visions that we want to achieve. The reality is that middle managers are the culture carriers. They create the culture. They help people love their work or not enjoy their work. So when we look forward to coming to work, when we get to use our strengths, and the Mayo Clinic research shows it only needs to be 20% of the time that we actually love what we do, then we start to see workplaces transform when we feel seen and heard and valued. So if you want to know how to shift into this kind of leadership, If you want to become a leader worth following, and if you want your leaders to step up to the plate so that your employees love their work and feel respected and heard and psychologically safe, then I'd love to work with you. Send me a DM. I would love to talk. If that's your jam, follow more of my content and invest in your leaders. It's the best investment you will ever make in your culture.